All right. Hello, all you sports fans out there in podcast land, and welcome once again to another edition of Babbling Brooks, your new favorite podcast, where I, your host Brooks, try to bring you some of today's sports news with just a little twist of my point of view. Hope everyone is having a terrific Thursday so far out there. Not a sunny day, but still a beautiful day so far here in Atlanta. Probably change in the next couple hours, as it looks like there's a pretty damn good chance of some thunderstorms rolling its way through the area. But hey, you gotta have the storms, the rain occasionally, so shit grows, all that good stuff. But hey, how about speaking of good stuff? Our beloved Bravos clinching their sixth National League East title in a row. Going back to 1991, they've won 23 division championships. So most of my life, that I remember at least, the Braves have been winning division champions. Because they weren't so great maybe the first 7 years of my life. But I don't remember shit from the first 7 years of my life, other than refusing to be out in T-ball and, the umpire giving up and letting me go around the bases, eventually representing the Moonlight Drive-In. R.I.P. to the Moonlight Drive-In. Somebody needs to revive the Moonlight Drive-In in Abingdon, Virginia. It was the oldest drive-in in the state of Virginia, and it's been closed unless something else has changed, and hopefully somebody can fix it up. I used to love going there as a kid. They also sponsored my first T-ball team, or my only T-ball team. I only played one team T-ball. Most people, I guess, did. Either way, the Braves getting the win last night like they tend to do, winning the division series. The division championship. Nice to see. Hopefully they'll win the division series, but definitely kind of cool. Maybe that felt a little extra special to do it on the same field where the Braves season ended prematurely last year. So I like seeing them celebrate, and you can see there was a little bit of it maybe geared towards the fans. Of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. You can't blame the Philadephia fans for booing in this case. Shit, I would. That's totally understandable. But I did love Ronald Acuna Jr. just kind of egging it on, like, yeah, bring it on. Like, I guess he's lucky a battery didn't get thrown at him. But, you know how the Philly fans are. But, yeah, they haven't done that in a while. So I'm not even sure they actually done that. It just sounds like something I remember hearing back in the 90s. But it kind of sucked because I couldn't get the Braves, like the Bally Sports South broadcast of the game. I was stuck with the Phillies one, which actually I listened to a couple times this week, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Because there was that one, was it earlier in the year, where the Phillies guy was just like really upset with Marcell Ozuna, like taking too long to get around the bases, just like really down on celebrations. But at this point, maybe John Kruk was just drunk or something, but they seem to be having a good time. John Kruk is actually kind of funny to listen to, as much as I kind of hated him as a kid just because he was the representative of the Phillies, like the face, him and Lenny Dykstra were like the face of the Phillies kind of in my early sports years. When the Phillies were probably, I would say, Phillies were the first team I ever hated. And I still hate them. Not as people, but I hate the team. It's a sports thing. It's not like a real life hate. I don't endorse hate in any way. But when it comes to, you can hate, sports hate is okay within certain, limits. Because some people definitely take it too far. I probably have taken it too far in the past. Try to mellow out. Try to keep it mostly positive, which I shared like on Instagram talking about the really cool Tyler Matzik quote from before this game. It's like which reminded me of a Cam Newton quote from back in 2015. It was like pretty much he was saying, if you don't like it, stop it. You can't stop it, admire it. And, just enjoy, and if you can't admire it, just shut up, pretty much. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but something like that. And back, of course, 2015, Cam Newton got a lot of flack. The Titans got upset with him for celebrating. And he's like, well, you don't want me to celebrate, keep me out of the end zone. So very kind of similar sentiment. And I think that would be, that'd be a cool conversation, Cam Newton and Ronald Acuna Jr., because even though Cam Newton, of course, was a star for the Carolina Panthers, one of probably the best player in the history of the team. And he's from Atlanta, though. So never played for the Falcons, but he is from Atlanta. So that'd be kind of a cool moment. I'm sure he's got some love for the Braves. I mean, it seems like he would really enjoy watching Ronald Acuna Jr. play baseball, or this team in general, because this team just wins. And, this is twice, last month or so, last month, that the Braves have had a 4-game series on the road in a hostile environment that is tough to win in against a good damn team, a dangerous team. The record isn't as good as the Braves or the Dodgers, but this Philly team, much as I want to hate on the Phillies, this team's legit. They got some ballers. I mean, Bryce Harper, this team might be, the division race might be a whole different story if Bryce Harper had a whole healthy season. And he's playing, at a position he's not used to playing at first base. Just coming off that Tommy John, don't want to be thrown out of the outfield just yet on a regular basis. So, you got to think it could have been different if he's came in early because he's provided a hell of a bat. They got Trey Turner. These guys, they ain't no slouch despite the Braves winning the division. We saw how much that means in October. All it means you got home field advantage. It means you can still blow it. Last year, the Braves blew it against the Phillies, or maybe just the Phillies stepped up. I don't think we're going to let that happen this year. Of course, the Phillies are just like, oh, yeah, we're fine with losing. But, we want to act like we've been there before. It's like, dude, but you ain't. You ain't done it, man. You can't act like division champs because you ain't ever been division champs. And I love the funness in the game now. Because you know what? Sports are, they're games. Yeah, that's serious business as well. And it's the livelihood for these guys, but it's also a game, which means to a certain degree, this shit is supposed to be fun, y'all. So, just try to keep it positive. Try not to hate. And that's one of the things I'm glad has changed in the game, the fun that they're having, and the fact that you're not going to get brushed back or maybe hit with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball because you're having fun. The Phillies manager kind of alluded to that. He's like, I wasn't really talking bad about the Braves. I was just saying, and I have no idea if he has an accent, but I feel like he should. If he's the way he's complaining about stuff, that's like the old-timer accent. Well, I was just saying, that's not how I teach our guys. I want them to act like they've been. I'm like, dude, you're not helping. You're still an asshole. Fuck you. You're not smooth at all. More like, even though that was more of a Santana song than a Rob Thomas song. Still. It's like, shut up. You lost. But, they could get some revenge. I'm sure they'll be trying to get some revenge, when they come to Atlanta soon for a series coming up in a few days, and especially if we face off in the playoffs. Because as of now, the Braves would be waiting on the winner of the Phillies and the Cubs wild card series. Either one of those teams is dangerous. I'm ready to see the Cubs. I think that'd be a lot more fun for me. Not that the Cubs are a less threatening team, but something about just the Braves and the Phillies, man, that soft spot. And the fact that you look at 1993 when they beat us on the way to going to the World Series. Last year, they beat us on their way to going to the World Series. And the Braves have dominated the National League East going back to 1991. Just that little stretch between 2005 and 2018 where they weren't so good. Actually, I was still going to a game a year. I remember 2017, I predicted this run. Maybe not the same, but I remember watching Ozzie Albies hit a triple in his rookie season before Ronald Acuna Jr. had even come up. And I saw, and I was like, man, this team's about to be special. They're about to, they're going to the playoffs next year. And we've, been out of the playoffs for a couple of years at that point. It wasn't looking good. But that was when it started. 2018, went to my first playoff game in person. I saw the Dodgers beat us. And that, we still won a game in that series. And if that was a victory at the time, now we'd be disappointed with that outcome. But then, that's how bad it was there for a few years. But you look at other teams, man, I talk shit about Boston fans. And I'm like, well, technically, I guess the Braves have been doing similar stuff, just without as many championships. But, as a Braves fan, if you're my age and a Braves fan, you mostly remember success. But there's also just the feeling of disappointment, as weird as it is, that accompanies that success, because it feels like there should have been more World Series won, more than two, since 1991, or since the team moved to Atlanta, really, because before that, the previous World Series championship was 1957 in Milwaukee. Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Warren Spawn Insane, and Pray for Rain. You go back before that, the previous World Series title was 1914 when the Braves played in what city? Boston. Back when like all the major cities had 2 teams, St. Louis. Shit, New York had 3 teams at one point, Giants, Dodgers, and the Yankees. They were really dominating baseball for a while in that big old city. I still think Brooklyn need to do a Dodgers game in Brooklyn somehow. They need to find a way to make it work. Maybe for Jackie Robinson Day. But yeah, so all that, 10-minute intro to talk about this Braves 4-1 win to take 3 of 4 in Philadephia. Just like they did in Dodgers. And hey, look, y'all, I predicted a series right for once. I don't know if I've done that. I feel like usually I just kind of like overguess. So like, we're going to sweep. And this time I was like, 3 or 4. Feel pretty confident we can do it. And it wasn't easy, but the Braves did it. Spencer Strider getting win number 17 on the season. Among the league leaders. Actually, let's look at stats for that. And he's still like, I feel like he's, in the Cy Young conversation due to his strikeouts. But I think his ERA is a little too high. But he does lead the lead in wins. That's got to help him. One more than Steele there with the Cubs, Gallen with the Diamondbacks. But ERA, Blake Snell, who had a great start last night against the Dodgers of all teams, so that definitely ain't hurting his candidacy. His ERA is like way lower than Spencer. Spencer's like 3.7, I think it is. But I think the wins and the strikeouts can kind of balance that out, but he probably needs a shutout or 2. Probably needs like a shutout down the stretch to really like give himself a chance to catch Blake Snell. Just because Snell's been, even though his team has struggled, like which in some ways makes it even more impressive what he's been able to do. And he'll be a free agent too, so somebody maybe the Braves can grab him, add him to this mega rotation. No, we got to worry about signing Max Fried first. But Blake Snell, his ERA is like 2.43. So, but Strider having that league lead in strikeouts and wins, I think it has to mean something. But it didn't look like it was going to be that way at first. The first inning, it took Spencer Strider 36 pitches to get through it, and it was looking a little nerve-wracking. He ends up giving up a run. Kyle Schwarber scoring on the Bryson Stott RBI single. But then he struck out Marsh to end the inning. So it was a rough run. 36 pitches, including a walk to Schwarber. Anytime a guy's leads, there's a leadoff walk, especially a guy like Strider that doesn't walk a lot of guys. Especially when he walks 2 out of 3 of the first guys. You're like, oh no. This is starting to look like another 2.5 inning outing. But Spencer Strider, after that first inning, barely let anybody else on base. Like, he pretty much took care of business. Had a couple 1, 2, 3 innings right afterwards, including an 11-pitch inning that really got him back on track. I think it's like 5 out of his last 6 starts. He's gone more than 6. He's gone at least 6 innings, and he struck out at least 9, which is what he got in this one after only making it 2 2/3 innings last time out. So great to see, not just that he had a great game, but the fact that he was able to do it despite the early struggles. Because there were some times looking at when they were showing his face early on in that first inning, I was like, oh no. They even looked there, had one of the relievers getting their legs warmed up, So not like throwing the ball, but when you got 2 guys on in the first like that, shit can get a little crazy sometimes, especially against this Philadephia team. I mean, you look at the top of their lineup, you got Schwarber, Turner, and Harper, all 3 straight in a row. And, they can do some damage. We're able to limit them. Turner and Harper combined for 0-7 in this game. Actually, all of them 0-10. Schwarber did score that run in the first inning, though. But that's a big thing. When you could get the other 0-10 to 1 through 3 hitters on one team. And on the other side of things, the Braves 1 through hitters were a combined 7 of 12. 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs. All 3 of those RBIs, coincidentally, coming from Austin Riley, who pretty much gave us all we needed in the first. We were talking about the bottom of the first. I kind of skipped over the top of the first. Austin Riley, 447-foot home run with a 2-run shot. As Ozzie Albies was also on bases. He had a double. And the first 3 Braves hits, or the first 3 balls hit by the Braves were all over 105 miles an hour. Included a Ronald Acuna line out, Ozzie Albies double, and then Austin Riley 2-run homer. And that would have been all the runs we needed because the Phillies not able to score 1 run period after that first inning. But just in case, the Braves adding on with an Austin Riley sacrifice fly that scored Ronald Acuna Jr. in the 3rd. And then Kevin Pillar getting the start for Eddie Rosario in this one. RBI double, sent home Marcell Ozuna. And it was one of my favorite. Look, I love balls hit like this. It was one of those balls that was fair by maybe like a foot, something like that. I love seeing those balls. They're just like barely, because it's like guaranteed double. Sometimes you can get a triple, depending on the ballpark and the way the ball bounces. But so the Braves, and they almost put on some more, like 8th and the 9th inning. Like they, threatened to give a little insurance, but was not needed in this case. Is the pitchers doing a great job. Spencer gave up 4 hits in his 7 innings. Only 1 run, only walked 2 to his 9 strikeouts and 110 pitches, which a lot of pitches, man. You don't used to seeing him hit quite that many. Actually, let's look at his pitch count. Of course, yeah. Last time he only threw 65 pitches, and he's only thrown, last time he threw 110 pitches was August 1st against the Angels. Normally, it was more in the 90s. It's kind of his normal. He was 105 against the Mets. But really, really encouraging start for Spencer Strider because, to be able to start a little bit rough, not quite having his under control in the first inning. But after that, putting in the work, getting shit done, and ends up going 7 innings in this one when it looked like he might be chased out of there pretty quick. Especially just one of those things like, man, we've been held the Phillies bats in check, for the most part here, like early on in games. And it looked like they were about to bust it open in the first, but not this time. Give credit, their kid Chris Sanchez, pitched 7 in the 3rd inning, and despite giving up 4 runs, he struck out 10 compared to only 1 walk. It's a pretty impressive start for the kid, especially against this team. 4 runs, as a lot of teams have given up, a lot of better pitchers with more experience have given up more than 4 runs to this Braves team this year. Brad Hand pitched a perfect 8th with 2 strikeouts on 13 pitches. And then Kirby Yates giving Raisel Iglesias a little break today, comes out. Perfect 9th inning, 1 strikeout. Gets save number 5 on the season. And like I say, great for the Braves. It's really cool winning the division championship, but it'll be even better if they can add on to that shit. And, win World Series number 2 in this run, maybe 3 since going to Atlanta, or now Atlanta-ish. And Ronald Acuna Jr., no home run in this one, but Austin Riley, that's 35th home run for him on the season, tying a record all time. The Braves have, 3 hitters with 35 homers or more. Austin Riley at 35, Ronald Acuna Jr. at 37, and of course, Matt Olson tied with Andrew Jones for the most home runs hit in a season by a Braves player ever at 51. And you got Marcell Ozuna, the next homer he hit will be a record breaker because that'll make 4 Braves with 35 or more home runs. And I have a hard time believing Marcell Ozuna ain't going to hit at least a couple more homers. Shit, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in Austin with 40. Imagine that. We could end up with 4 guys with 40 homers. Probably not. We're going to have at least 2, maybe 3 with 40 homers, though. Like the way we're hitting, and like I know we're running out of time. Let's see, we're 100 and, what's not yet? 146 games in right now. So we're running out of time, but it's still a possibility. And Ronald Acuna Jr. still, could technically break Otis Nixon, the stolen bases have slightly ticked off lately, ticked down. But, when you're hitting home runs, you can't really steal as many bases. It's just, how math works. And especially with teams just focusing on it. But in this one, Acuna gets stolen base number 66. And then he gets an extra base out of it as well. That's how he ends up scoring on that sacrifice fly, putting himself into scoring position and forcing the bad throw. That's the great thing about what Ronald Acuna Jr. is like you can't, anytime he gets on base, even if he doesn't try to get the stolen base, like that is in the pitcher's head. He has to be thinking about it. Like you'd be dumb not to. You can't totally tune him out because you don't want to give up that base usually. Sometimes you'll take it, whatever, but he forces a lot of errors because he's so fast that catchers try to like overreact, try to throw it too quick, or maybe like, the guy at second base isn't ready. There's always some factor. And even when the pitcher's just making a pitch, like that is affecting how he pitches to Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Matt Olson. It is in his head. You can't not think about it. And it's just so fun watching Ronald Acuna Jr. Just keeps getting her done too, man. He was 3 of 5 in this one. Ozzie was 2 of 4. Austin Riley 2 of 3. The only other Brave in this game, however, with multiple hits, Kevin Pillar. And what a great job Kevin Pillar has done for this team. Like in limited play, to be able to go out there after not playing for several days and to consistently get on base and get key RBI hits is pretty damn good and a nice piece to have going into the playoffs. You got him and Eddie Rosario. Whichever one starts, you can always pinch hit. Switch who the side of the plate you got your guy coming from, and both of them have shown they can come up clutch. I mean, Eddie Rosario was the National League Championship Series for a damn reason. A couple walk-off hits in that series. I saw one of them in person in the biggest playoff game I've ever saw in person. The same year I got to see the Hawks beat the Sixers, and I got to see in the playoffs, and I got to see the Braves beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. It was a fun time. Fun year as an Atlanta sports fan. Minus the Falcons, because I'm not a Falcons fan. Go Panthers, keep pounding. But, kind of not a great game for Matt Olson, Orlando Arcia, Sean Murphy, Michael Harris II, all 0-4. Harris striking out 4 times, which is not something you're going to see often from him. So I feel like we're going to see a nice little bounce back game from Michael Harris II. But despite the 0-4, he's still hitting 291. So still in that neighborhood of 300, which I believe he'll get eventually by the end of the year. Ronald Acuna Jr. driving that average up to 335, adding to the all-time, not the all-time, but the modern Braves record for runs scored in a season after passing Dale Murphy the other day. And he's got more to score, too. But the Braves do have a day off before going. I guess they're already in Miami, but getting the day off in Miami today, back at it tomorrow. And so far for the opener of the series, Bryce Elder going up against Cueto. So should be Braves opportunity to get some stuff done. But the Marlins, they're not playing for nothing either. They're fighting, trying to get something going on. And it's still undecided for who's going to pitch against Luzardo for the Braves in Game 2 of this series on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised to see A.J. Smith-Shawver. He came up. They called him up. He still hasn't pitched. Probably going to be him, but that can always change. And the finale going to be Charlie Morton right as of now. And then we have a 3-game series against the Phillies in Atlanta. We're going up to face the Nationals. Then we got the Cubs coming to town. And then the Nationals. 3-game series to finish off the season. At home for the Braves. Let's have a look at the standings. Of course, the Braves, first team to clinch their division. 17 games up on the Phillies. Braves are 96-50. And we have a better record away than we do at home. 49-25 on the road this season. 47-25. Same amount of losses. Win on the road and win at home. And pretty much the same amount of wins. Just what an impressive team. What an impressive team. Cannot be overstated. And the Marlins, we can't be sleeping on them just because they're 21 games behind us, because they are only half a game out of that final wild card spot. They're tied with the San Francisco Giants right now. Only the Cincinnati Reds and the Arizona Diamondbacks are tied for that last spot. So right now, that National League wild card series heating up. You got the Phillies and the Cubs. You feel like pretty much have it locked up, but the Braves can maybe help send the Phillies out of that. If they can sweep them at home, which will be tough, but that'd be cool to see. Help out one of these other teams. But the Phillies, 3.5 up on that final spot. The Cubs are 1.5 behind them. And then, like I said, the Reds and the Diamondbacks right now are tied. Reds have won 3 in a row. Both teams have won 6 of their last 10. And the Reds really, trying to surge again after falling back down some. But the Giants and the Dolphins, the Giants and the Marlins ain't going away. And are not going away. They got a close race, but not as many teams involved. You got 2, 4, 6 teams fighting in the National League. Because the Padres aren't eliminated, neither are the Pirates, but 7.5 games out. It's going to be tough to make up. They would need some help to get there. Despite, San Diego did get the win last night, but they still only split their last 10. Same with the Pirates. You're just going to need more to really keep it going. In the American League wild card race, it's a 4-team race pretty much at this point. While, 7.5 back, the Yankees and the Red Sox not technically eliminated, but I don't see them catching the Blue Jays and the Mariners. And the Mariners, and the Rangers, half a game separate them, and they're not far away from the Astros. Tampa Bay, if they can't catch the Orioles, they'll win they'll be the top wild card in the American League. That's pretty much locked up. They're only 2 games behind the Orioles right now, so that's doable. But look at, the wild card in the American League is coming out of the East or the West. Central doesn't really have a chance there. The Twins about to lock up the Central. They just can't win consistently, and then Cleveland can't take advantage of opportunities. Like Minnesota has split their last 10 games, which could provide an opportunity for the Guardians or the Tigers. But the Tigers have also split their last 10. The Cleveland Guardians have lost 7 of the last 10. Astros almost threw a combined no-hitter last night. They've won 6 of the last 10. The Rangers, who had lost a few games there, they were on a pretty bad losing streak. And they've won 5 in a row. But the Mariners, despite losing 6 of the last 10, are on a 2-game winning streak. And they're only 1.5 games behind the Astros, a half game behind the Rangers, like we mentioned. So it's going to be fun down the stretch to watch what these teams are able to do. The Braves aren't done, though, because they got something to play for. They want that home field advantage through the playoffs because they don't want to have to worry about going to playing more games at Dodger Stadium than they're playing at Truist Park when it comes down to that National League Championship Series. If it comes down to Braves and Dodgers, which is a, very likely outcome, it would feel like, but things can happen. A lot of shit can happen between now and then in the playoffs. But the Dodgers are 88-57, so they're about they're 7.5 games behind the Braves right now. So the Braves could still, they have a good chance of getting that home field advantage, and it ain't perfect. We had it against the Phillies last year. Didn't do us a damn bit of good. But it still, when it comes down to it, was a big part of getting that 2021 World Series championship banner. More to see, though. There's still only 3 teams eliminated, or 4 teams now, because the White Sox are eliminated, joining the Royals, the A's, and, of course, the Colorado Rockies. But Braves still got some stuff to play for. And tomorrow we'll mostly talk about football. We'll do sort of like a full-on Week 2 preview. Tonight will be the kickoff for Week 2, of course. The Vikings taking on the Eagles in Philadelphia. Eagles are 1-0. The Vikings, a surprising loss at home to Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Despite Justin Jefferson having a good game, Mattinson kind of a little disappointing. Maybe they're missing Dalvin Cook a little bit. Maybe they can get a bounce back. The Eagles are going to miss their leading running back from last week. I was about to say Miles Sanders. He's with the Panthers now. But Kenneth Gainwell. So it'll be all eyes on DeAndre Swift, the pickup they got from the Lions. Going to see what he is able to do for them. Actually, it was a trade, not a pickup, but still it's a pickup. But Eagles probably can get this win despite missing a couple guys. But, man, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, they might maybe they can find a way to win on the road. But probably going to be the Eagles going 2-0. Jalen Hurts playing at home. You like his chances. And we'll go more into the Sunday games. Talk about that. I'll go by game and give my predictions tomorrow. Panthers, some bad news on multiple fronts. J.C. Horn looks like there's a very good chance he ends up on injured reserve. And then also missing, offensive line situation already wasn't looking good. And now we're missing both. We're missing 2 starting offensive guard. Brady Christensen. Looks like his season is over. He's moved to injured reserve. So he could still technically come back, but I also read he is out for the season. Austin Corbett out at least the next couple weeks. So we're going to need Cade Mays or, one of these undrafted rookies. Somebody needs to step up big time because Bryce Harper, we're going to need to protect him. The Saints defense ain't no joke, despite it being a home game for the Panthers on Monday night. And then J.C. Horn looking like he's going to be out for the season as well. And I don't know if it's necessarily anything he's done wrong. It sounds like it's just bad luck and a freak injury. Sort of like what happened with Christian McCaffrey. It happens sometimes, you can't, control everything. And, it's sure it doesn't look good for him to be injured every year, but it's like every injury is a different injury. And it doesn't necessarily seem to be like a conditioning thing. It just seems like it's just happening. Sometimes that happens, especially week 1. Guys don't usually play full tilt in the playoff, in the preseason and practice leading up to that. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But definitely concerning injuries going in to this matchup. The good news is I think DJ Chark, our deep threat wide receiver, looking like he's going to be healthy. He was making a case to play week 1, and he practiced yesterday, the first practice of the week. So I like his chances of suiting up Monday, and that could really open up the passing offense a lot. If we can get him downfield, because we did not have that deep threat in the previous game. Adam Thielen definitely, he's more just a slot, great route runner, but not going to be a speed guy, especially at his age at this point in his career. And then, Jonathan Mingo's still learning. It's going to be a little bit of a development thing with him, as it is with any rookie coming into the league. Not usually going to be explosive right off the bat. But I think he could be a very valuable piece going forward. And Terrace Marshall Jr., very talented, but just not quite that deep threat. And DJ Chark is just a really fast receiver, get down the field fast. And like I said, maybe that opens up the entire offense. It already is, as much as we say it was kind of vanilla or maybe not opened up kind of as creative as we would like. Compared to last year, Ben McAdoo, Matt Rule offense, it's definitely looking better than that, more motion, more kind of stuff going on. But hey, come back tomorrow. We'll talk about that a little bit more. For now, let's just celebrate our beloved Bravos, baby. Winning the NL East for the 6th straight year, the 21st time since 1991. What a team. What a year. Let's keep on chopping, baby. Come back tomorrow for more of your new favorite podcast, Babbling Brook. Subscribe on Spotify so you never miss a babble. And we'll see tomorrow. Check in. We'll be talking football. The first, pretty much exclusive football episode. Unless the Braves news happens, which honestly I just doubt it at this point, unless they move somebody up. But either way, going to be we're looking at NFL Week 2. We'll talk about tonight's game. I'm going to try to watch as much of that as I can because I have to sign up for Prime. I've been putting it off for a while. Anyway, it's prime time, baby. Speaking of that, go Deion Sanders. What a coach. Maybe he could be our coach if Frank Reich doesn't work out. I'm just kidding. I think Frank Reich could work out. And Deion, he's going to win. He's going to do some big things, I believe, there at Colorado. Pac-12 championship on the way. In the last year of the Pac-12. Colorado going to win it. But hope you all have a great day. Come back tomorrow for more of your new favorite podcast, as I already said. So having said that, I'm done. Peace out.